markup language, which is a language for describing the data. So this actually tries to communicate between the two applications. So this language can be used as an intermediate language, which can be helpful for us as a translation mode. Okay, that we want to translate the one document to another document format. So this actually helps us. Okay, and nowadays people are using JSON format for a conversion of one document to another document. For example, you are making a transaction. Okay, so we are making a transaction from uh, from Google Pay. Okay, so we are actually in the Amazon app, and we are trying to communicate with GPay. Okay, means you want to make a payment from Amazon application to GPay. So actually in today's world, you can observe this, that there should be a transfer of data from application of Amazon to application of GPay. Okay, so now it has its own format of data. It has its own format of data. Then intermediately they need to communicate with each other. Then there should be a common language that can be understandable by both of them. Okay, in nowadays we are using JSON format. Okay, but in the earlier days we used to have XML, and still most of the uh, applications are still running on this XML technology to translation of data. Okay, so this is actually a markup language that marks or tags are used to identify the data element. So we can create our own tags here. Okay, in XML, like not, it's not like HTML. We can create our own. So HTML is a language for describing how information is to be displayed on or rendered. Okay, it's only concentrate on how to display the data. Okay, but whereas this concentrate on how the data will look like, it describes the data. Okay, XML, whereas HTML only look for an styling concept. Okay, so now uh, XML is actually is for B2B applications. So B2B is nothing but from business to business application. Data transmission can be done with the help of an XML. Okay, so XML actually uses DTD or an XML schema to specify what tags are allowed or required. Means XML, if you want to write an XML file, then we have to follow certain rules. Those rules are framed by DTD. Okay, document type definition. Okay, or we also call it an XML schema. Okay, so we have to know about these basics, that how a DTD will look like and how a XML schema will look like to create a XML file. So once XML file is created, and these files can be used by some applications, okay, to understand the type of data. Okay, so actually XML should has to be follow certain rules to write a XML file. Okay, that we'll see this. An XML file has an easy rules, but very strict rules need to be followed. Okay, the very first line in XML should be this one. XML, the version number and an encoding format, what encoding it to follows. The rest is user defined tags. What do you mean by that? The rest of the tags which are there in the XML will be the user defined tags. It will be not like this, like HTML, okay, head, title. Okay, this is a predefined one in HTML, but whereas in an XML you can write your own tags. Okay, and every tag should have a opening and closing tag. Okay, that we'll see the example here. This is a data you want to represent this data in an XML format now. So what is the thing is, the every XML should have one root tag. Only one root tag should be there. Okay, in this case you can observe book is a root tag now. Okay, so book is a root tag, which is a unique root tag. Okay, now this inside of this, it do have a title now, a book title. Okay, so this is one tag we have created. Okay, so now book title is my first XML, and this product ID is nothing but this is, as this is a book, this should have certain details, that how that book will look like, whether it is a ebook or paper version or what, that it is giving the product details, product, and followed by, if you observe this is a attributes. So how we are writing attribute, like table, border equal to 1. So this is attribute corresponding to this particular HTML tag. Similarly, we can write our own tag and our own attributes by following the same rules of HTML. Okay, now chapter. So this is chapter 1. This is the chapter 1 which is specified here. Okay, similarly there can be another chapter. Okay, so from here to here, actually this is chapter opening and this is chapter closing. This is chapter opening and this is chapter closing. This is first chapter, this is second chapter. That what is this look like. Okay, so now this is the name of the title of the chapter that is given here, introduction to XML. In that you have two paragraphs, what is HTML, what is XML, that we are written like this. Okay, then we are having XML syntax. Element must have a closing tag, element must be a property nested. These are two paragraphs that is there inside of this chapter. Okay, now the thing you make a note that every XML should have a uh, root tag, only a single root tag, and it should have only opening and closing tag mandatory. Okay, now what will be the advantage of this? Okay, elements can be have any content, and each element can have a different content type. Means the data can be described now. Okay, like chapter. Okay, prior to this there was a book. Okay, means by simply looking into the XML file, you can state that this is defining some data, some hierarchy of data. Okay, what is the hierarchy of data? Like a tree structure of data can be represented with the help of an XML file now. Okay, now that each XML is XML element. Okay, this is, we call it as an elements. Each element or tag, including the element start or tag, including the end tag, element can have element content, mixed content, and simple content. Okay, what do you mean by element content? Like what we have written over here. Okay, like in this example, above example, element content, it contains other elements. Okay, so elements inside elements are referred to as an element content. Okay, mixed content is nothing but it contains both text and other elements are considered as an mixed content. Simple content, only the text content is called as an simple content. In this above one, para. So if you look, para will have only an text data. Okay, so this is a mixed content, which have chapter is a mixed content. Why? Because it has both text as well as the element tag. Okay, so a element can be a element content, mixed content, or simple content, or empty content. Empty content in the sense it can be empty. Okay, so for this example, product ID, so inside of this there is a no data. Okay, so that is actually a empty content tag. Okay, and every tag can have its own attributes, and we can define any number of n number of attributes which do follow an name value pair. Okay, so element naming. So XML element must follow these naming rules. Names cannot contain letters, numbers, and other characters. Name must not start with a number or punctuation character. Name must not start with a letter, XML or these things. This XML should not be there. Means if you are trying to write a tag like book, okay, so you should not have to start that letter with like XML book and so on. Okay, so names cannot contain spaces. Means every tag should have a unique name. Okay, and it should not have an spaces in between. Okay, so elements and attributes. So each element can have an attribute, and that attribute is something like this. Okay, so elements can be like attributes, or it can be individual tags also. Okay, so or simple, you can also define specifically date, which do have day, month, and year. Okay, so this will become one tag. Okay, which tag it can be? It can be an mixed tag, or it can be a simple tag, or it can be element tag. Okay, now this in this concern it is an element content tag. Okay, means it has elements inside of an elements. Okay, nesting of elements generally referred to as an element content tags. Okay, right. So attributes and element rules. Use elements to describe the data, and use attributes to present information in that and is not a part of the data. Okay, so for example, the file types or some other information that would be used in the processing the data, but it's not part of the data. Means the data is different. Okay, means if you're writing something inside of these tags, is is referred to as an data, and these attributes are different. Okay, define the structure of data. A documented definition or XML schema defines the tag and their organization. So as I am stating you that let us look into this first picture, that how XML parcel will look like actually. Okay, so XML transformed XML document will be something like this, which need to be follow certain rules and regulations. Okay, so we can write directly an XML file by following the DTD rules. Okay, so this is very similar like HTML, where it can also have an XSL style sheets to define the style rules that how XML should be represented, and how these are all the technologies which are associated with an XML file. Now these technologies uh, are in detailed description about these technologies. You can refer. Wait for a while. Now you can observe this, uh, that we have to know that what are the document type definition rules are there. Okay, and original XML document means the document which we are written, okay, as a form of book. Okay, and so on. Okay, so this will be original document what we have given. Apart from the document, we can also specify the DTD rules, and we can also specify the schema rules, and which will be given to an DOM parser. Okay, we generally try to parse the XML document, and this XML will have a XSLT processor which will be responsible for taking the XSLT commands, and these commands will produce and transformed XML document which can be understandable by any application now. Okay, so this is a general hierarchy of any XML parser. Okay, so this might be a question in your exam, that how a XML parser will look like. Okay, simple, you can able to draw this diagram by explanation. So now we'll see that what is DTD now. Okay, so document type definition or XML schema define the tags and their organization. Means how these tags are being used by defining the XML will be described by the DTD. Okay, so this is like data about data. Okay, the DTD can also be think like a metadata which describes about your XML document. Okay, XML files can be validated against the definition before a program tries to process the data. Okay, so before processing the XML file, it tries to look into the DTD file and it try to make the decision. Okay, now internal DTD. Internally the DTD file will be something like this, which will be having the PC data and the C data. This is important. Okay, so this is parsed character data. PC refer to parsed character data, and C data refer to just the character data. Okay, so now uh, let us see this example. So this will have an internally it tries to make a DTD file, and this describes the elements, that the note element to have all these elements internally, that is two from heading and body, and this two will have a PC data now. Okay, it means PC data is nothing but the parsed character data is there inside of this two is referred now. Okay, and what is from, again it contained a PC data. Heading again consists of a PC data. Body consists of a PC data. So this will be actually passed and initially to know that what type of XML is being processed. Okay, so why use a DTD? With a DTD, each of your XML files can carry a description of its own format, that I call it as a metadata now. Okay, the description about its own data will be given. Okay, with a DTD, independent group of people can agree to use a common DTD for interchanging the data. Means if one application is agreeing that okay, I will use XML, then it has to process this DTD also. Okay, which is being sent by this application. Like Amazon is sending a request to GPay. Okay, then the data is transmission will take place. Means the common platform data will be XML. So along with this XML, it tries to send the DTD file which state that how much transaction need to be paid. Okay, what is the product ID. Okay, what is the code of that product, that is a product ID only. Okay, then uh, amount that need to be paid, okay, the party which the amount is being requested, and all these details will be sent as a part of DTD to the GPay account, okay, so to a GPay application. Then it will be verifying the data, and it will trying to convert that into its own format, and later again the transmission of XML file will be taking place, okay. So your application can use a standard DTD to verify that the data you receive from outside world is valid or not. Means it will not first parse the data, not the XML file. It will try to verify that whether DTD is correct or not. If it is correct, then only it will parse the data. Okay. The building blocks of XML documents are elements, tags, attributes, entities, PC data, and C data. Okay. Now, XML document components uh, can contain text or other elements or an empty, okay, that we have seen previously. Tags are used to mark up elements, and attributes are used to extra information about the elements that we have seen. Entities are variables used to define common text. So some, if common text is available, then we can go for this, like entity references are references to the entities that we can give a references, okay. So parsed character data and text that will not be parsed, okay, like comments comes under this, okay. So elements with only character data, okay, these are the examples, like how does it look like in an DTD format, okay. So just that full declaration of node that we have seen in the just now, okay, that elements with children's, how does it look like, elements with only data, how does it look like, okay, so on. Repeating the elements, an element means it appears exactly once, that is the root element. Name plus means it appears one or more times, okay, and name asterisk it appears for zero or more times. Name question marks means it appears only for one mark. This is inside of an DTD actually. So elements of node of it can contain either PC data or to or from or header or message, okay. This is called, referred to as a mixed data. And XML organization is a logical way that we call it an XML schema, that how the logically the XML file is organized can also be referred to as an XML schema, okay. So standard syntax, uh, so let's try it, like make up an XML definition for some of your data want to work with a address book, okay. So how your address book will look like, that would be put into an address book, that would be define an address, and would be do with an address book definition once you have done it, okay. So this is just, you can write an contacts, your contacts phone contacts which is there, okay. So how does it look like, so I can give it like an contact list as an root tag, okay. Then I can try to write a individual list elements, okay, like it can be the name, okay, and it can consist of a name of the user, okay, and means the name of you have stored in your contact list, okay, phone number, and it can consist of a phone number, and so on, okay. This can be contact 1 C1, okay, and similarly there can be C2 and C3 and so on, up to how many contacts are there in your contact list that can be added, okay. So the purpose of XML is to describe the data, is to facilitate the cross platform sharing of information, that one from one platform to another platform, that referred to as a platform independent in sense of data, okay, is independent of any hardware, software, or operating system or programming language, that we refer to as an platform independent, okay. So here we can have a namespaces, so that you to make and to avoid the conflicting of names, we can make use of a namespaces here, okay. So for example, uh, this is taken from W3C schools, like we have table, and if you are writing your own table inside of an XML, okay, so it collides with HTML principle, okay. So the two different uses of tag of table leads to a conflict now, okay. One you are from HTML and one from XML. So to avoid that, we can have a namespaces. So this is the namespaces that can be defined, okay. So this is the H referred to HTML, and this is our own table. So H colon of this and every tag which is under of this table need to be followed by h colon then. Okay, so and every tag under this we need to be followed with f colon. Okay, so means it is providing its own namespace inside of this. So this is generally h and this is f. So this differentiate between the two different tags. Okay, so default namespaces, uh, so instead of repeating the namespace prefix for every individual time, we can use the default namespaces. Okay, XML schema alternative to DTD. Okay, so here if you see in the diagram, you can go with either DTD or you can go with an XML schema. This is XML schema. So this is an alternate way of defining the data about data that we refer to as an XML schema. So more data types are there. Okay, and syntax based on XML and ability to reuse and redefine existing schemas. So this is the advantage of using an XML schema instead of a DTD. Okay, so this, it can have a relationship of parent and child. Okay, and it has certain advantages when compared with DTD. Okay. So schema use of a schema assure that the communication entities have the same understanding of how data is represented and should be interpreted. So classical case like this is an example of the schema. Okay, syntax and semantics. So syntax determines the rules of well formed statements in XML, and the semantic define how well if statements can be. Okay, so the use of a schema can help to detect errors in the use within a well formed statement. Okay, so this is an example of XML schema. Okay, that how does it look like? So every XML schema will be followed with an XS tag, and we can able to process this. We can write our own style rules. Okay, and we can write a style sheets to access the data from XML and the parse the data. Okay, so that is in detail concepts about the XML. Okay, so just this is an overview that what I am demonstrating you is. So this is a reference to a schema. How does it look like? So common simple data types are there in XML schema. Those are strings, decimal, integer, boolean, date and time. So these are the very common data types that are available, and these are the way that we can define the attributes in XML schema. XS colon attribute followed by the name and the type. Okay, so this is all about XML. This ends the XML concept, that how XML technologies are there, and actually you need to also learn about this XML style sheets, but which is not there in syllabus, which try to make the formatting of the XML document. Okay, so which is a separate styling language. Okay, every particular technology is different now. XSLT is different. Okay, we can write a XSLT processor of our own XSLT processor can be written to format the data. Okay, so that can be done. So this is all about XML and its usage. So I will send you the notes upon this, uh, that how XML will look like, and what